I can remember I was 5 years old. My little brother died. I know the funeral and everything. Walked to church. My grandma held my hands. Mother wasn't there. He was very sick, 9 days. Had to die. There was no doctors to do something. And then we lived there till I was 8. We went to our grandpa's house many times, mother's grandpa's. They had a vineyard out in the field. Should put my hand up. And mother was working all day, putting the barrels, filled the barrels of grapes, and grandpa was there cutting, and we were going around the bushes, and everything had to be cleaned. And then next day we made the wine. We had to stop it with the feet, to wash their feet clean and then go in. Step and we got tired. Then my sister went after a while and so it was. Then the wine went down to sour. Whenever we come to Grandma, she went down to sour and got a dipper, give each a glass of wine. And Grandpa had to go to the garden. They had some sweet wood. And had to dig some for us. We liked the sweet wood so well. It was roots like rhubarbs, way down the ground, long sticks, and that was good stuff. And then we had an auction sale, go to America. It was in 1905. And then left. Then I stayed with Grandma, Mother, and we took her, stayed with her mother and father. She had an uncle, he couldn't walk. My mother, it's my uncle. And Franz. And we stayed overnight. In the morning we said goodbye, and he cried so hard. I never forget that in my life. And he couldn't go out, he was laying down on the floor a bit. I don't know what Grandma, how she cried, I don't know. It was a wail of block, and I could still hear him cry. Then we got on the train to Germany. We 8 days stayed in Germany.
You don't remember what town in Germany?
I don't know, was it
You don't remember the town?
Berlin? The train went there. Then we had the ship come there from the ocean in America.
Uh-huh.
Then we stayed a week and we went every day.
I bet it was Bremen, maybe.
I
There's a ship there, a shipyard in Bremen.
It's Bremen, yeah.
Does Bremen sound right?
Maybe it must be, yeah. Dad knows it better.
Mhm.
He did. He told me many times, but I forget it. And then we went, 8 days, everything went out, and there was a big zoo. We went to the zoo, see everything. We enjoyed it. And they furnished a meal, you know. We had buns for eating. We never made buns in Russia, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
First of all, where did you live in Russia? We didn't get that yet.
Glickstal.
Glickstal.
That's far,
Okay,
Glickstal,
Glickstal.
inside Russia.
Okay.
60 miles from Odessa.
Okay.
West.
All right.
Then the ship came. We had a passenger ship. Then we all marched in, the band was playing. Oh, yeah, that was music. There was a couple hundred people went in on the ship. And then ship started going, and then we had lunch there in the ship too. And it was going, we went up deck, and that wind and wind. We always looked, then there was no land anymore, I could see it. It was way in the ocean, going and going. And then we were in the ship, we come to a place, the water was so wild. Storm come up, and then the ship, a wave come up, a big water wave, and dumped on the ship, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it ran down, the doors were open, ran down there. It was about a foot of water down in our rooms.
Oh, gosh.
Suitcase started swimming.
Oh.
And the people hollered, I tell you, they were afraid we'd go and drown.
That sounds scary.
It's kind of dangerous.
Yes.
And then they just take the water out of the water. How they work those shipmans, I don't know what they call them. And then it was so going good. My mother never, she was always in bed. But we girls, Dad took us every day up to taking the ship.
Oh,
So-
did your mother get seasick, kind of?
Yeah, she was kind of pregnant.
She got, oh.
Yeah, and she couldn't take it. She was
Oh.
always laying there. We couldn't eat in the sheep either.
Oh.
Whenever that steam cook stuff comes, the other room came down, we said, close the door. You don't have the door open when the food was smelling.
Oh.
We just nibbled, we had some pretzels on big Russia, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and dried them and take them along.
Oh, uh-huh.
Then we had some tea and I think some pretzel. And drink, sometimes we drank a little beer.
Oh,
Yeah, a little beer. That we lived on the ship.
yeah.
11 days we're on the ship.
11 days. Mm.
Yeah. Then we come to New York. We couldn't drive to New York there like now. We had to stand a block in.
Okay.
Then they put us in little boats.
Uh-huh. Or they
Oh.
couldn't bring the big ship in, huh?
Not to
To the
walk out,
harbor.
like.
To the
When we
harbor.
when we went in, they had boats. We walked in there, nice.
Uh-huh.
Germany.
Uh-huh.
Couldn't them work. They had that time no boats to
Oh,
walk.
I bet they
walk
didn't
on.
have maybe a port big enough to bring the big ship in yet.
Oh yes, they have it made now.
Yeah, now they do, but
Oh,
at that
yeah.
time, I mean.
I don't know. They
At
didn't
that
have-
time, they didn't have
It
a
was
port maybe
1950s,
big enough. Yeah.
And then they filled those little boats. Oh, they filled them up, I tell you. The water was just a foot down the boat, little boats. I was sitting there, I think we drowned. That thing tips over. Oh, I was
Did
so
you have a
frightened.
life jacket on?
I don't know.
You don't remember that?
Then
huh?
we come to New York. They the ship, and then we went out there. And then we had to each take a bed. There was a house they put out all the women and the children. They had a shower and tapped that everything, run the water down,
Mm-hmm.
and the clothes they heated up. There's no germs coming from Russia.
Oh, they wanted to make sure you were
yeah.
bacteria
And we had a
free.
shot there too, to check the doctors, you know.
Uh-huh.
Then that was over, we took the train to South Dakota. We come there in October.
First of all, let's back up. What is there anything in New York that impressed you? That was that
Well,
you
we
remember
didn't
as
see much New York.
you didn't see
We
it.
just went right the train right away. New
Uh-huh.
York.
Did you see the Statue of Liberty or anything like
Yes, we
that?
drove south of England. We drove by.
Oh, did you? You saw
And
the
they saw
statue?
that's England. Then there was a ball. What you call them? Big fish.
A whale?
University. Yeah.
A whale.
We saw a
Oh.
whale too.
Oh, you saw a whale?
Yeah, the daytime we were up the deck and we looked. They showed us, and the whale was not far away going.
Oh, that was
Then we
interesting.
come to Statue of Liberty, and we come to New York.
And then you were on the train.
Yeah, then on the
and-
train to South Dakota.
Okay, and who did you go to in
And
South
my mother
Dakota?
had on there.
A mother had
My father
an
had
aunt.
on.
Oh,
Yeah. 9 minutes, as he calls.
oh.
Then they stayed a week there, a month.
They
South
kind of
Dakota.
helped put you up there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, they.
Then they stayed a week there, and the father and mother, they was October, they're breaking corn, you know, harvesting corn.
Oh,
They helped a little bit there, and then November we left for North Dakota,
oh.
the train again. We had no coats. It was not cold in Napoleon when we come here, no snow.
Uh-huh.
We had kind of big shawls, you know, around.
Uh-huh.
And then was a friend Isaac from the flat over here. He was in. We drove out with him to my mother's uncle, Rudd,
Okay. What's
then
the
they
first?
had-
What was his first name? What Rutt?
Joseph Rudd.
Joseph Rutt.
And
Okay.
there was his son was Joseph too. Huh?
Okay.
Had quite a few boys, 6 boys they had,
Uh-huh.
4 girls. And then they couldn't keep us. The house was not so big, only 2 4 rooms or what. They were grown-up children.
Mm-hmm.
Then my mother lived over there with Myers, 2 miles from the uncle. She said, well, you can come to my house. I'll keep you over winter.
Mm-hmm.
She had a big sod house, and she gave her a big room there. And then the neighbors gave some beds and everything. Then we moved over there, stayed 8 months with them, no rent paid. And they had a big kitchen. My mother cooked in the same kitchen like her cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Baked the bread there, and Uncle brought 100 pounds flour over and bag of peas, some bag of dry beans, and the neighbors brought some meat and some other had to cook.
Mm-hmm.
And that worked out a little bit, helped the neighbors fill the upstairs hay in the winter. You know.
Yeah. Now, when you say dad, who was your dad?
My dad,
Who was it?
Raisler, Chris Raisler.
Chris. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I know.
Yeah, he helped the neighbors.
That
fill
was
the-
more like your stepdad, though,
Yeah,
right?
that was my
Yeah,
stepdad,
because you
Chris
lost your
my
Father-
mother's John Rish.
right.
My father died in Russia. when I was 6 months old.
Oh.
He had tuberculosis.
Oh,
He
tuberculosis.
came back from the army and then he married. It was a year and married, a year and a half. And I was 6 months old when he died.
Okay.
And my grandpa died 3 weeks before my dad.
Oh, with the tuberculosis also, or?
No, I don't know what he had. My
You're
grandpa.
not sure,
I don't
huh?
know. One grave. Had one stone.
Oh, really?
We visited the stone before we left from Glickstall. Went up the
Uh-huh.
cemetery and see the stone again.
And then your mother remarried, huh?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then now they put the gravestone all for sidewalks in Glickstall. There's such a thing. They blow the cemetery up, the Russians.
Oh,
Bolsheviks.
you mean nowadays,
Nowadays,
present Russia
There
now.
was a miller over a couple of
Yeah.
years ago.
Uh-huh,
He went to Glickstall, took a picture from his grandma's house,
uh-huh.
and he went to cemetery. There was no cemetery.
No cemetery.
They got all their the gravestones for sidewalks laid there.
Oh,
And there was a car checked up in Glickstall when he was there, and had 4 stones under the wheels, checked up.
oh.
God, they treat us German people.
Uh-huh.
And my sister, my mom had a sister there, and she was in Siberia, you know,
Uh-huh,
but she died there.
uh-huh. Okay, all right, now we're back.
And
to-
my uncle that could walk, he died in, I think, 39.
Oh, he did.
He was 49 years old.
Oh. Could you write letters back and forth quite
Oh yes,
frequently?
I was writing. Oh,
You
yes.
kept
Oh
correspondence.
yeah,
huh?
I did. I did.
Oh,
I
so you knew what was going on all
yes,
the time.
Everything. They're right. They
Oh.
were very good writing letters. Yeah.
Uh-huh,
And then there was no home for the crippled children, you know.
uh-huh. Yeah, there wasn't
Parents had
such
to take care of it.
Had to, right.
And then the parents were kind of old, my grandparents.
Uh-huh,
They didn't know what going to be with that lame boy, you know.
right.
And he died a year before they died.
Oh,
So they were glad.
they didn't have to worry about him
Yeah, I don't
anymore.
worry anymore for him. Yeah.
Oh. Okay, now you're back.
I'm now in North Dakota now.
Yeah, you're
Come
back.
off the train, and we lived in Whitmires. And then in spring, Dad bought my stepfather. He died bought 4 horses,
Oh,
$300.
for all 4.
No,
Oh,
$300, 2.
oh, for 2, for a pair.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he was worked for the neighbor. He plowed up new land,
Mm-hmm.
breaking up. He worked a month there, the neighbor. We still lived in Whitmire's place so long. It's just a neighbor.
Where was Whitmire's place at? In
It was
about? Can you? Who's
about-
living there now? Is there somewhere we
It's,
can?
I think it's no farm anymore.
No farm.
But I know there's a bridge going by there. I know I could find it,
Uh-huh.
but there's no.
But is it kind of around?
It's about 8 miles west of Streeter.
Okay, 8
Yeah.
miles west of Streeter. Alrighty. Okay.
And then Joan came. Father was plowing a whole month in May. Then Joan came, and he took up a homestead in January already.
Oh,
My stepfather.
he got the papers going
Kitty
for a
County, yeah.
homestead, huh?
He went up to Steele, and there was some land there. And he took it up.
I suppose he went to the courthouse in Steele to find out
Yeah.
what land was to
Oh,
homestead.
they
huh?
maybe know, some people know it.
Yeah.
I was there a little bit.
Right.
The next place was there too, North.
Right.
They came later 3 years.
Uh-huh.
Took it up,
Uh-huh.
Caroline. And then they went over the horse and they got the wood from Steele for the house.
Oh, uh-huh.
And then the uncle came over and the cousins, my mother's, Joseph Root and the young Root and all those, they built the house, 2-room house. And then Saragota, my mother's aunt, she sent the cook stove up, Fred.
Oh.
Cook stove and a plow, a 2-horse plow,
Oh.
and a bed you could stretch it out, roll it out, a wooden bed.
Oh. Fold-out bed kind of,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, a fold-out bed.
Oh, do you suppose she ordered it in the catalog and then sent
I
it
think
up?
it wasn't new.
It wasn't new.
I don't
Oh,
think it was a
okay.
good bed still.
It was used.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought
And
maybe
then
she...
we moved in the house. 2 days they got it up,
Oh.
but there was no chimney
Uh-huh.
right away.
Well, it was summertime anyway,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
June was warm.
Yeah. So you
And,
didn't really need a chimney.
So we had a stove outside,
Oh.
but we were eating in there and sleeping already.
Oh. Uh-huh.
And Mother cooked the stove outside. Then
Oh.
we eat, and then the house was ready, and so it went on. Then I grew up there, I was 8 years old then. And then started school, I was 10.
Mm.
There was nobody English talking. Oh, it was that hard when you went to school.
You talked German the whole
There
time,
came
huh?
everybody. Then there came 2 girls, English. We learned a little from them, you know.
Uh-huh.
And so we went to school.
Where
I
was your school? What was the name of it,
It
do
was
you know?
a mile northeast,
Mile?
Kimmett. First winter we had at Kimmett's house school.
Oh, they had a classroom right in a home,
yeah,
huh?
they have that. They're big. They had a sort house too.
Uh-huh.
They gave it big room. They had some seats, school seats there. They were there.
Mm-hmm.
And the kitchen. The teacher was from Dawson.
Oh.
And
I
he
suppose she
boarded-
boarded there, huh?
He boarded there too.
Uh-huh.
And she cooked dinner for them. And
Was the teacher a male, a man guy?
he was a man.
He was a man,
It was
huh?
English.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you recall his name at all?
It was Robert. I don't know what the other was.
Robert was his name, huh?
Yeah, from Dawson.
Oh.
And then I had only 5th grade.
You went to school till 5th grade? Uh-huh.
There was big guys, 25 years old, to
Oh.
start ABC like I did.
Oh. You were
That was a first class, I tell you.
learning the English language,
Younger
no
ones
matter...
and then starting ABC.
So no matter how old are you?
But that one girl, English, she was the 5th grade already.
Oh.
She was the leader there. Yeah.
Oh, she helped out, huh?
Yeah.
She was like an assistant teacher,
Oh, yeah,
huh?
we watched very careful to get a little English. And so I was growing up. Then I married. The Langs came up in 8. And Grandpa came up in 10. Fred Lang, my
Mhm.
husband. Then he worked out 2 summers here. Then he stayed home. They farmed a little market, was home still there. And